Who run it? Who run it?
Whoa, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Yes, your host with the most, Big Kev, is here back on YouTube. I haven't really posted a YouTube video in a while. Just been a life, busy, work, everything. But um, I feel like I had to get a Titans thing in here. The draft is upon us here. Um, Now, some of the draft boards in the beginning had us getting an offensive lineman. I know that some people have paired us with Ohio State's Paris Johnson. And now usually around this time, I kind of gauge what we're going to draft or what we're going to do in the first round. But there's so much rumors, so many innuendos that this time around, this season, I have no idea what Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel are actually going to do. Um, and I trust Carthon. I think that he did a really good job, scouting for the San Francisco 49ers. And I really, him being a former player, him being a former Indianapolis Colt, playing with Peyton Manning back then, I believe that he's going to do better than J. Rob. Now, I did like John Robinson as a general manager, but let's face it, when you don't resign your one of your best targets in AJ Brown, and he goes to Philly and leads the Eagles to a Super Bowl, yeah, it becomes a conflicting thing to where they had to do something about it. And we Titan fans, we're all happy about the fact that they made the move, got rid of the offensive coordinator. We got rid of him now. It's funny because I've been out in the sun for too long. I forgot what the hell his name is now. But that's because he was really nobody anyway. So let's just kind of go with that. But the Titans did make some offseason moves this season. They got Sean Murphy Butting from Tampa Bay. That actually is a good one because he's played with Tampa. Tampa was a Super Bowl winning team a couple years ago. So we're bringing in someone that's got playoff experience because now you pair him with Christian Fulton and you pair him with Roger McCreary, and now you pair him with those three. You got a good little tandem there in the corner. In the corner. Now that's one of the weakest spots in the Titans' defense was their secondary. They signed him to a 1-year deal, so we get a chance to see what he can really do for this team. But I also feel like that this is kind of the beginning of the end for Caleb Farley. And I know most of you may agree with me on this. You may disagree with me on this, but Caleb Farley has brought nothing to the table for the Titans. When they got him in the draft, I didn't like the draft pick, because he had histories with back problems. His first season, he tears his ACL. He couldn't even stay healthy. Mike Vrabel wouldn't even play him very much last season. So that should tell you how Mike Vrabel views him as an individual and as a player. Now, we did lose some big names in the offseason. Nate Davis went to the Chicago Bears. Some of y'all got mixed emotions about Nate Davis as right guard. He's been there for a couple years. When you're trying to fix an offensive line that was really horrible last year, and we're going to get into that because I am going to take up for Malik Willis. I know some of you have hated on him. I don't think he's ready and everything like that. But in just a little bit, I'm going to explain my reasonings why I'm going to actually defend Malik Willis on this. But, we lose him. The Titans also released Taylor Lewan. We all saw that coming. Taylor Lewan has been the heart and soul of that offensive line for a long time. Him and Ben Jones both. Uh, the only problem was Taylor couldn't stay healthy these last 2 out of 3 seasons, and but Taylor Lewan played his heart and soul for us, even when we were struggling. We weren't a playoff team when we were like 2-14. You know, Taylor Lewan to me, he embodies a player that you would want on your football team. Um, he's loyal. He's a big cheerleader for his team, and he comes in there and he played with his heart and his soul, and so did Ben Jones. And both of those are two big losses on the offensive front. So now we have Aaron Brewer still, which I think that they might move him to the center position because apparently he did better being in the center position. We did pick up who I feel like might be a good left tackle, and that is Andre Dillard. Now, Andre Dillard played for the Eagles, but he was the backup. He didn't really get the opportunities to play, and I think that's what Rand Carthon's looking for is someone who's got the skill set but didn't have the opportunities. And I think Andre Dillard right now he prefers to play left tackle, but if the Titans decide to go left tackle in the draft, then Andre Dillard would probably move to right tackle, or they might move him around to right guard or whatever he needs to do. But he said he can help out in any position. I feel like the Titans are trying to get younger and faster in that position because that's what Mike Vrabel has wanted this season. He wants more fast pace. He wants more younger. He wants to be more explosive. And the Titans did not look explosive last year. They look older than what they did. Um, that's because the Titans also play old school football, and that's good defense and smash mouth football. Um, and Rand Carthon, when during his press conference, said that that's good to be, but it's good to be toward the later in the season, which I agree with. I feel like you let Derrick Henry loose more towards the mid-season, late season. Let Derrick Henry do his thing. I think the Titans need to find another identity on offense in the beginning of the season to kind of mix and balance both, which I think would be what I think a lot of us Titan fans would want is to be a little bit more balanced on offense. We also picked up Daniel Brunskill. He was from the 49ers. He could play left guard, right guard, or center. He didn't really get much of an opportunity in San Francisco, but, Rand Carthon knows him, brings him in. This offensive line right now, if we were to play fully right now, Andre Dillard would be left tackle. I feel Bronskill will be left guard. Dylan would be the right guard. Aaron Brewer would be the center, and and we all know the right tackle would be. That would be where we're at right now. Um, is that making some moves in the off? Is that making some moves in the offensive line? Yes and no. The Titans they were over the cap, but they got under the cap by making some of these releases that they did. Bud Dupree's gone. Zach Cunningham's gone. They released it. They let David Long. They didn't re-sign David Long. I know a lot of us love David Long, but let's face it, David Long could not get healthy, and there's a little bit of that thing where Mike Vrabel said he had soft injuries, and that's to a fault. Yeah, but one person who gritted it out for us when he didn't have to was Big Jeff, little baby Thanos, Jeffrey Simmons. He had that big ankle injury, but he kept playing through that ankle injury, and that takes guts to do so. And I think that's the reason what Mike Vrabel's looking for. He's looking for players that are not just going to miss a game because ooh they got a boo boo on their toe or their finger. He wants someone that's going to be like, hey, my shoulders half hanging off, but you damn right, I'm gonna suit up. I'm gonna tighten up, and I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna play. And that's what Mike Vrabel's looking for, and I think that's what Rand Carthon is looking for. So that's why those two are gonna work really well together. And is the offensive line fixed all the way? No, but could it? Is it better than the one from last year? Yes, I believe it's better than the one from last year. Now, some of us in the off season, when free agency comes, we released Robert Woods, which he really didn't do very much for us. But then again, I know he's coming off that ACL, but let's face it, the Titans quarterbacks didn't really have much time to throw the ball, anyways, because they were running for their lives. I'm talking about Tannehill, and I'm talking about Malik Willis and Joshua Dobbs. So all three had chances of run. But what I haven't liked about the offseason move is they haven't brought in a wide receiver. We let a lot of them slide. I think we were looking for Alan Lazar, but then, the whole Alan Lazar went to the New York Jets because Aaron Rodgers, being a diva, decided that he wants all these receivers and these weapons to come with them to the New York Jets, which the Jets do have weapons. I mean, they got Elijah Moore, they got Corey Davis, they have Wilson as receivers, but he wants to bring his own, and yet the trade still hasn't happened, ladies and gentlemen. I think the trade will happen after the draft, of course, but I think that Alan Lazar would have been perfect fit for us. He's big, physical receiver. Right now, we really don't have a steady number two. Hell, some of us will say we don't have even a steady number one at receiver. Treylon Burks had some flashes last season, but he got hurt a few times. And there's flashes of greatness with him. I believe that. But we really haven't done anything to address the receiver. I don't know if we're going to make trade. There was a bunch of rumors that we were looking at D-Hop, DeAndre Hopkins from the Cardinals. There was some that was trying to say that we were close to Odell Beckham, which he ended up signing with Baltimore. There was people that were saying, well, Titans should go after this guy and that guy. And it's like, rumors are just what they are, ladies and gentlemen. They're rumors. And when I heard the rumor that they were talking about trading Derrick Henry, I knew that was complete and utter BS. Because why in the world? And I know that running backs don't have that very much longer time. And I know Derrick Henry's coming up to being 29 years old. But the man ran for 1,500 yards with a bad offensive line last year. Do you not understand? A man like that came off a foot injury, who was about to probably break record numbers the year before when he got the foot injury. And he had a bad offensive line, and yet the man was second in rushing last season. Imagine what he would have done with a good offensive line or a healthy offensive line. I do believe that trade talks do happen. I mean, some people do try to see what the value of a player is. And I feel like that's where the rumor came at. But I do not see Derrick Henry going anywhere. I know this is his last year on his deal. This is the last year on Ryan Tannehill's deal. And there was a lot of rumors about Tannehill, too. I remember they were saying the Jets were interested in him, which turned out to be false. There's rumors that we're talking about trading up to the third pick to maybe get a quarterback. Now, my thing about that situation is simply I don't want us to get Anthony Richardson. And the reason why is because Anthony Richardson is just another version of Malik Willis, in my opinion. Some of you may disagree with that. Some of you may agree with that. Um, I feel like there's too many holes in this team for you to go draft a quarterback right now. We need a receiver. We need a member of the offensive line, but we definitely need a receiver. So you need to get somebody that's going to line up with Traylon Burks. And there's a couple of guys in the receiving core of this draft that I feel like could definitely a more of an upgrade than Robert Woods was. Obviously, I do think the Titans will sign a free. I do think they will sign a veteran receiver before training camp happens. But I feel like in the first round we're going to go receiver, and that's where my gut's telling me. Um, I don't see us trading up for those big quarterbacks because next year will be even more quarterbacks in the draft. So now you would have a chance to maybe get one of those guys next year. I say we ride with Tannehill on his last year of his deal. Next season, we'll have a lot of more money and we'll have a lot more fun to play with, and we can be more. That's where I would go with this. Now, if the Titans were to go receiver, let me look here for a second. The Titans were going to go as a receiver in the first round. There is some. I do feel like there's some really good receivers out there in this draft. That now Mike Vrabel being the Ohio State alumni that he is, I feel like that they would probably go with an Ohio State guy. So let me see here. Got here. I'm looking at the PFF here for the receivers. Now, they could go with Quentin Johnston from TCU. He's a big 6'4", 215 pounder. You know, his vertical, he's got a big, really high vertical leap. They could go with Jackson Smith of Ohio State, which I believe, the Titans might go with that guy because, um, because of the whole Mike Vrabel Ohio State thing. I know that they will be interviewing Zay Flowers from Boston College. They have him in for an interview. So all three of these guys would be great. But if I was to go with this, I would probably go with Quentin Johnston. He's a 6'4". He's a big bruiser. He knows how to, he's a big bruiser receiver that we're looking for. Um, if he's not there and we are looking for a receiver, then Jackson Smith from Ohio State is pretty much what you would want to have if you're going to draft a receiver. Now, hear me out, Titans fans. If we are to go get a quarterback, not in the first round, but in the second round, if we were to go get a quarterback, there is a guy, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Tennessee Vols fan, but I feel like Hendon Hooker would be a perfect guy to sit behind Tannehill this season and learn. You know, he's fast, he's tall, he's big. I know he's coming off that injury that he had during the season. But you're looking at a guy who could really come in and make a difference for this team. I don't think we're going to be going to get C.J. Stroud or I just don't see us getting Anthony Richardson either because I just why would you go for Anthony Richardson when he would be another mock version of Malik Willis? Now, here's why I think some of us were a little too hard on Malik this season. You put Malik Willis in the game. You put Malik Willis against the defending Super Bowl champs Kansas City Chiefs during the season. And they almost beat the Chiefs. We took the Chiefs to overtime in Arrowhead with Malik Willis. Now that says something. To me, that says something. Malik Willis is a guy who came into a situation with a bad offensive line. You know, Terrell Lewan was out for the season. Ben Jones was hurt. Nate Davis did not have the best season in the world. And he was running with his head, with a deer with his headlights. And some of his throws, some of his mechanics, and some of the way he was trying to scramble out of there to run for his life, it's not all Malik Willis's fault. I feel like the play calling was horrible, which we all can agree on. The offensive line was bad. So I don't care who you are. You could have been Aaron Rodgers. You could have been Tom Brady behind that offensive line. You would have got the shit kicked out of you with that offensive line we had last year. It was horrible, absolutely horrible. So I don't want to sit there and put Malik Willis out to pasture just yet. Um, let's see. AwakenToTheTurtle.com said, I still think our first pick should be Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State. Um, you know what? That would be a great pick. And, you know, Mike Vrabel being from Ohio State, it would definitely be something that we need. They could either put him at right tackle or they could put him at left tackle and then move Andre Dillard into a guard position or move him into the right tackle. Put Andre Dillard on the right tackle, put Paris Johnson on the left. I think that would be definitely a good thing. Now, the second round, they could also try to get a receiver den. But I really do think that there's could be a trade factor. Some people are thinking we're going to be trading for a receiver after the draft, and I have no idea if what Carthon's going to do with that. But we definitely do need a receiver too. But we definitely need that offensive line fixed. Right, exactly. Thank you very much. Malik Willis has not even been developed yet in Tennessee. That's exactly right. That was my point. I appreciate you saying that. My point is, yeah, he hasn't been developed. And those couple of games that he played last season, you really didn't get to see a lot because, you know, the kid was running for his life. And let's just clarify something here. The Titans are not going to trade Derrick Henry. I don't know where these rumors came from, but a man who had a bad offensive line still ran for 1,500 yards last season. That is just mind-boggling about how great of a guy Derrick Henry is. Derrick Henry keeps his body in shape. He's not your ordinary running back that I feel like he's getting better. And yeah, he's 29 years old. This is the last year of his deal. Last year of Tannehill's deal. I still feel like there's going to be more quarterbacks in the draft next season than it would be this season. That's still where I believe. That's where I believe, honestly. And yeah, you cannot blame Malik Willis for the reason why you know, for his missed troubles. Now, Malik Willis has got a cannon for an arm. And he just has to read the defense better. He was in a bad offensive scheme. The offensive coordinator was completely horrible. He was in a situation where And I still go back to that game against Kansas City. We were against Kansas City in Arrowhead. Took them to a overtime with Malik Willis as quarterback. Yeah, that's another thing. Tim Kelly's offense will probably be a little bit. Rank Carthon speaked on it that he wants to pound more during when he gets in the colder season, when you get closer to the playoffs. That's when you want to become like a run smash mouth kind of thing. So I could see the Titans being a little bit different in the first couple of months of the season and then crank it up and change it around toward the end. If they could find a good balance between what Derrick Henry can do and in the passing game, I think we would be in really good shape. Yeah, I agree, Darren. I really wanted them to re-sign Josh Dobbs as a legit QB too. I thought Dobbs did a really good job with us last season, and him going to Cleveland was very heartbreaking because I really wanted Dobbs to be there and give Malik more time to develop in Tennessee. I felt like that would have been a lot more of a situation there for him. But a good thing is, though, we did re-sign Jeffrey Simmons. I was happy about that. I'm glad that the big Jeff has got his payday now. Yeah, it would have. Yeah, it would have saved them from drafting a QB. I believe that. But Big Jeff, though, he's got his money now. Um, a man who's earned it. Harold Landry's coming back after that ACL, so now our defense is going to be a little bit more. And then we got a really good gym. I feel like Jacksonville messed up when they got rid of Arden Key. Key is motivated now. He feels like Jacksonville disrespected him, and them him playing. I feel like they're going to put Key on the left side, Harold Landry on the right, and you still got those two along with D'Amico Autry, Tart, and Simmons. That's scary. I people are still saying about Anthony Richardson because Rant Carthon played for Florida. Um, but me being a Tennessee Vols fan and studying the SEC very closely, I can honestly tell you that Anthony Richardson is nothing better. He's to me he's just a copy of Malik Willis. I feel like Malik Willis has got a better arm than he does. A lot of people would laugh at me about that, but I honestly believe that drafting a QB in the first round would be a really horrible thing to do. And if you're not going to draft an offensive lineman, if you're not, then you need to draft a receiver to play with Burks. That's where I would go with that. I mean, honestly, if you don't go after Paris Johnson and you decide you want to draft a receiver, I would either go offensive line or I would go receiver in the first round. He is more of he could be more of a Vince Young type of he could be more of a Vince Young type. I've seen him. He would definitely take a lot of pressure off of Derrick Henry. They can do a really cool run and gun type of situation with those two. Um, but you have to think about it though. Do you keep Tannehill for that last year of his deal and put Anthony Richardson behind Tannehill to learn, or do you think Anthony Richardson is the now and you find a way to release Tannehill in June and save you a bunch of money? That's where they need to. That's where the biggest question lies right there is are you going to let Ryan Tannehill stay for one more year and let them develop a quarterback underneath him, or do you play out this season and know that there's going to be a lot more quarterbacks in the draft next season, and then go after your franchise quarterback next season? These are questions that a lot of us Titan fans do have, and we want to know if that's where they're going with stuff. I believe that a late round QB. Um, that's why I said in the second round, if they really wanted to get another quarterback, Hendon Hooker from Tennessee is another one that could be a very good uh, quarterback to have if you were to draft a quarterback in the second round. I don't believe that he would be there in the third round. I mean, he's a second round talent. Could be possibly first if he didn't tear his ACL with the Vols during the season. But I really do believe that he could be a guy that could be like a late first round or like second round kind of pick. Tennessee can still get a lot of action, and if it comes to drafting a receiver, I'm with you on this. I really do believe that if they don't draft a quarterback, if they don't draft a quarterback and they wait until the later rounds to get a receiver, I'm with you, Awaken. I believe that Paris Johnson Jr. would be an absolutely stud of a pick. That would be a gem to have, and an offensive line that really needs that help. Because if you're going to move Aaron Brewer to a center position, you can take Andre Dillard. You can move him to either right tackle and then put Paris Johnson into the left. You would have Bronskill play left guard or right guard, and then you could figure out your positions there. Hendon Hooker would be a really good pick for Seattle. I mean, Seattle's got a really good thing with Geno Smith, but Geno Smith played really well with Seattle last year. Hendon Hooker could definitely fit in. He could fit in with that scheme that Pete Carroll has in Seattle. He's that good of a quarterback. I mean, Tennessee and the Vols had a really good season last year. If it wasn't for him getting injured, I think that they would have had an even better season. Um, that's the biggest thing, man. QBs who may be overvalued bring the question of boom or bust. Um, I think that kid from Kentucky, the quarterback from Kentucky, I feel like could be a bust. Now, the most pro ready quarterback on there is Bryce Young. Um, but we all know he's not going to be there when the Titans draft. So obviously, he's more, I believe, more pro ready than the rest of them. I see. I know C.J. Stroud's going to the first pick. I mean, I would be really shocked if Young is the first pick. But then again, they could switch that. It could be Young first, and it could be Stroud second. I know the Colts are also looking for a quarterback, so the Colts could end up trying to get up there to get themselves a quarterback as well. I think the Titans are in a good position. I feel like if you're not going to draft a receiver in the first round, you go with Paris Johnson Jr. as an offensive lineman because he would set the tone, and exactly what Awaken said, he would set the tone, and I believe that would be an offensive line, and that would be Derrick Henry would be chomping at the bits to play with this offensive line if you brought in Paris Johnson. I mean, this guy would have Tannehill if he's playing his last year. Tannehill can now be more comfortable now. He doesn't have to look over his shoulder as much. Um, I believe that we could see a Titans team that could be a lot better. I like Jaron Hall, QB from BYU in the later rounds. I'm still interested in a Lamar Cunningham QB Louisville, who is the most like Lamar Jackson. Does he fit Tennessee's scheme? So he could be a copy of Malik Willis. Lamar Cunningham does have a lot of Lamar Jackson quite type abilities. And we all know the rumor that Lamar Jackson was everybody thinks Tennessee would be a great fit for Lamar Jackson. But the Titans have to understand something. Do you really want to give up all that capital for a guy like Lamar Jackson? And I really do hate the rumors. I really do. I mean, when they talk about these rumors, I'm just like, come on, guys, really? I mean, are we gonna? I mean, just because one analyst on NFL Network or ESPN says, "Hey, I think this guy will be better," I believe that too. I believe the Titans are in a couple of moves away from being a top AFC, being the top of the AFC South again. Honestly, we should have been on the top last year. We let that one slip, and Jacksonville just came in there and took it from us. But Jacksonville's also got a good coach in Doug Peterson, who's a former Super Bowl winning coach. So I believe that the Titans, I believe they're already stacked on defense. I like what they've done on the defensive front of the ball. I really do. I believe the Titans are very good at. They got everything they need for now. The whole Kevin Byard situation. I wanted to bring that up before I go. Um, they went over there and they asked Kevin Byard to take a pay cut, and he said no. I believe that's a slap in the face to a guy who went to a school here in Tennessee. He went to MTSU. Um, he's kind of like the mayor here in Tennessee. He's a fan favorite. He's a captain of that defense. He's a captain in the locker room. Why in the world would you want to ask him to take a pay cut when you have a guy in number 17 of Ryan Tannehill who you could easily, who's making more money than anybody on the team per year? Why can't you ask Tannehill to take a pay cut? Asking Kevin Byard to take a pay cut to me was a slap in the face. I believe that that's the kind of thing that I mean, that's where you don't want to have a guy like Kevin Byard being disgruntled. And I don't think Kevin Byard will. I think Kevin Byard will still be a part of the Tennessee Titans when the season starts. Um, exactly. Kevin Byard is irreplaceable. He is one of the best safeties, if not the top five safety in the league. You you don't want to mess with a guy in Kevin Byard's caliber. And if you were to Kevin Byard demand a trade, which he hasn't done, but if he did, um, I know you have a Monty Hooker as a strong safety, but who do you replace with Kevin Byard? You can't. You can't replace Kevin Byard like you cannot replace Derrick Henry. I do not care what you bring. You cannot replace them both. Right. I believe that I think Derrick Henry will be resigned again after next season, after this season. I do think I think this season is make or break for Tannehill. This is one of those things where it's like nut up or shut up. They let Tannehill play his last year of his deal, and if Tannehill cannot get it done, then at least you save money by letting him go. He goes on his own, and you save money that way. And I know that if you want to restructure Derrick Henry's deal, maybe, and Derrick Henry's all about winning, I can see Derrick Henry being cool with that. And Kevin Byard restructured his deal a year before to get them some more money to keep people. And that's but you can't ask a player to keep restructuring deals. Yeah, I know that Tom Brady did that when he was in New England, but to ask Kevin Byard out of everybody in that locker room, I'm looking at it like I would have went to number 17. I would have went to Tannehill and said, "Look, you're on the last year of your deal. You're making more money than anybody per year on this roster. Can we restructure your deal so we can save some more money so we can go out and get a receiver in the free agency and we can actually make some trades and get some people out there?" Well, instead, they asked Kevin Byard, which I thought was a disrespectful thing to do. Well, Tannehill's contract is up after this season. He will be going, but Tennessee does need him this year. Tennessee's just not drafting day one starters, even if not even if someone like Richardson or Lou. Yep, yep. Even if they were to draft that either those two quarterbacks, or even if they went and got Hendon Hooker, neither one of those three guys would be the starter before the season starts. That would still be Ryan Tannehill. That to me is out of the question on that. And Ryan Tannehill does not, and he did it with Malik Willis last year. He's like, "Look, I'm not going to teach somebody." And honestly, some people are like, "Well, you're a veteran. You should teach a rookie." No, not really. You just have to watch on the field, and you got questions, you ask them. And I know Ryan Tannehill took some slack on that, but why would you want to help get somebody up there who's after your job? That's just it's. I know it's a selfish way of looking at it, but I believe that we're going to be in contention again for the AFC South this year. I think our defense is really stout this year. And no injuries happen, Harold Landry can come back from that ACL and play ball the way Harold Landry played, and Jeffrey Simmons plays his ball, and we can keep Kevin Byard happy. That Titans defense is really looking very scary on paper. Um, and I mean, honestly, I really look at that. If you have Arden Key on the left side with Harold Landry on the right, you have Jeffrey Simmons and D'Amico Autry in the inside. That's scary. I actually, this is going to be a really. I think Joshua Dobbs played better than Tannehill did. To be honest with you, I believe that that's what they should have did. They should have re-signed Dobbs. I don't know why they didn't. It beats me on that. It's. I feel like Dobbs played better than Tannehill in those two games that he played, and Dobbs really showed a lot for a guy who never had a chance to start when he played for Pittsburgh. I mean, he was more versatile. Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And Dobbs, I felt like was more athletic. He was more, I felt like his throws were more on key and more on point than Tannehill's was. You know, they always say that Tannehill. I know Tannehill was a first round pick when he went Miami, and they always thought he was a bust. And then he came here, got some success. And I'm not saying that Tannehill's bad, because Tannehill's not bad. You get a good offensive line around him and a good offensive scheme, Tannehill can win you ball games. But my question has always been with Tannehill is simply this: can you, when defenses are stacked against Derrick Henry in the playoffs, can you win those games for us? And right now, the answer is no. The answer is no. And I believe if Joshua Dobbs, if we would have went to the playoffs with Dobbs, I think Dobbs would have made more noise. I believe more than Tannehill did. He does not play well under pressure, and that's one of his. That's been his mo for a long time. He does not play well under pressure, and you know, yeah, the Titans did get to that AFC Championship against Kansas City a couple years ago. Well, that's because of a defense and Derrick Henry that got him there. But then when Kansas City started putting pressure on Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill folded. And what happened when we hosted our first playoff game? Baltimore Ravens came in and beat us because Tannehill couldn't handle the pressure. And then we hosted our divisional game against Cincinnati. Same thing happened. Imagine Joshua Dobbs with a healthy Taylor Lewan last year and a healthy Ben Jones, and Nate Davis was playing his way. And they actually had a good offensive line last year. Can you imagine? Not only Derrick Henry would have had more than 1,500 yards, I believe Robert Woods and Traylon Burks would have had more receiving yards. Austin Hooper would have had more receiving yards. And I believe that Joshua Dobbs actually would have been would have looked like a star in this league. And people can laugh at that if you want to, because I know some Titans fans are going to see this video later, but I believe if we had what we had, we would have beaten Jacksonville in that last game. Now, I still say to this very day that was not a forward pass that happened with Dobbs. And people can say that it is. That was not a forward pass with Dobbs. That wasn't a fumble, is what I'm saying. That was a forward pass. That wasn't a fumble, is what I was trying to say. Um, and you can go back and look at that tape. That was not a fumble. And it's unfortunate that that's how the Titans season ended, but then again, we were 7-3. We did get a lot of injuries, but we had a lot of injuries the year before, and we still came back through adversity. I agree with Mike Vrabel. We need players in there who are going to be durability, but I still question the Titans training staff too, because I'm like, you got to keep these guys happy. And that's what you had to. That's something I thought they would have looked at this offseason too, is what their training staff would have been like. Their training staff was a big piece that was missing because the last two seasons we've had so many injuries for the Titans. It's insane. It's just it's a bad situation, but I do believe that we will go. I don't think we're going to trade up for a quarterback, and these people and the NFL rumors can spread. I don't see it. I see us either, if we're going to trade up, we're going to trade up to get a receiver, or we're going to trade up to get Paris Johnson, because I know the Bears are also looking for a left tackle, and they're number 9 while we're number 11. So if anything, it's either a receiver or it's an offensive lineman, and that's where I think we're going to go. Paris Johnson Jr. would be a perfect fit for this team, far none. And that's just where that's where I believe that we're going to go. And and if some by the grace of God we decide to trade up to get a draft to get a quarterback, they're not going to be a first. They're not going to be a first day starter. They're not. They're not going to be. But then again, I'm looking at the Titans receiver core. I'm like, who are you going to throw it to? If you don't get a receiver in the draft somewhere in there, and you don't get a veteran before training camp, who are you going to throw it to all the time? Burks? I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, I know Kyle Phillips showed some flash last year too, but well, I mean, that's where we're at though, because the Titans need a little bit more pieces to the puzzle. I would fit these pieces before I would go and get a quarterback, because you can get another quarterback next season, and if we would have signed Dobbs, we wouldn't have had this issue. Retool an offensive line, yeah, that's where I think we're going to go as well. So tighten up, Titan fans. I already know what Awaken thinks, but I'm going to post this video on some Titan groups that I'm a part of. I'm going to hear their theories on this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments when you guys see the videos later. Like, share, and sub. I appreciate Awakening for participating in this talk with me. I really appreciate that. So, with that being said, I think it's going to be either an offensive line or a receiver in the first round. Um, I don't think it's going to be a quarterback, and I think that they can wait till next season to get another quarterback. I think they're going to see what they got in Malik Willis this year, and we'll see. Thank you. I appreciate that. Awakentotheeternal.com. I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate that. I'm just a realist guy. I used to, I played football. I know how these things work, and it's just, you know, I wish that the NFL players weren't all about money, but I get it. You want to, football is a dangerous sport to play. Exactly. They would lose too many draft picks, and draft capital is worth a lot of mucho. And if you lose some capital to that, that's just, now if you're going to make a big trade, you better get something that's of equal of or greater value, and that's how they got to be. And I trust Rand Carthon on this. I don't think he's going to let us down like J. Rob did. But anyways, I'll see you guys later. I will be a part of a on another channel, the great Duke Botters. He's a Cowboys fan. I will be popping up on his show sometime next week for the draft, when the Titans draft. So I'll post his link in the description so you guys will be able to see that. Anyways, I see you guys later.